Hello, everyone. Let's start with a question. So how many of you at the age of 17 and 18 have been advised to become either an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor? Well, I can't see any raise of hands, but I'm sure there are many. Well, I was also one of them. When I was 18, this was exactly the expectation from me. But I chose otherwise. I did not become a lawyer, and I made a very different journey, which I shall talk about today. Moving back 15 years, 2009, after an effort of almost 3 months, I finally get a job in New Delhi. It's a very reputed NGO. My boss calls me and tells me that, Sejuti, this is your first assignment. You are going to Chhattisgarh to study a mining and displacement project. I am thrilled. As a politics major, I really wanted to meet people and work with them. And I'm super excited. I call my sister, and I'm like, Didi, my first assignment is where? I'm going to Chhattisgarh. From the other side, my sister's response, Chhattisgarh? And then she follows. This is why I told you to take your law exam more seriously. I asked you to prepare a little better. Look at all your friends. They have found jobs in New Delhi, in Mumbai. They're moving to London, DC, New York. And you are going to Chhattisgarh? What is wrong with you? At this point, don't get me wrong, I love my sister, but I am really confused. We clearly have a mismatch of expectations. And she's telling me something that I haven't understood so far. She represents the society and the social pressures which expects us to be a certain kind and every day prove that we are extraordinary. We want that seat on the table in those New Delhi and the Washington DCs and the New Yorks. And for that, every step that we take is to get there. And that's why the emphasis on the 4.0, that's why the emphasis on how do I become better and prove myself better. For those of you who don't know where Chhattisgarh is, it is really middle of nowhere. And at the time that I'm trying to go there in 2009, there is a lot of leftist insurgencies happening there. It's not safe to go there. And certainly people who are already in New Delhi don't want to go to see these ordinary people in Chhattisgarh. And despite all of her advice, as if life is a backward design and I'm already in New Delhi, I need to get out and do these better things, I choose the ordinary and step out and go to Chhattisgarh, and my life changes. The women up here, I know at this moment they seem to be like the sitting, passive women just listening. But actually they are a force of change. There was land acquisition happening in their village. And in the first round, when the police had come and the men were protesting, most of the men were taken and put behind bars. And so when the second round of land acquisition was going to start, the women had to protect their land. And what did they end up doing? They ended up using their own body as a form of protest. They were lying on the roads as those police vehicles were entering into their village, and they could not enter the village because they could not go over those bodies. My lesson in politics about civic activism, about the rights of the citizens, about liberties, as the narration of this story is going, came alive in front of my eyes. I really realized what it means to exert your rights and fight for something that you deeply care about. This woman, I met her in Orissa. She is, again, from a rural part. We are talking about their village life, etc. As we are talking about her activism, I asked her a question. I'm like, you have so much protest going on in the region. Why don't you ever go to New Delhi and protest there? She smiles at me, and she's like, yeah, Indira Gandhi, she's a very good lady. I am completely taken aback. Indira Gandhi? This is 2010. Indira Gandhi was assassinated in 1984. We all know what democracy is, right? Democracy is for the people, of the people, by the people. But at this moment, I realize that our democracy, this huge distance between Orissa and Delhi, isn't working. This democracy is not for these citizens. Moving on, yet another day in my field. I go to do a small farmer, an indigenous farmer. We are talking about his agricultural practices, etc. In the meantime, they give me a cup of black tea. I am slightly surprised if you know anything about India. Tea in India is chai, it always is milk tea. As I am looking at the tea, the farmer apologizes and says, you know, our cow just had a calf. And when the calf is drinking its milk from the mother, we don't take that milk. I look at this farmer a little ashamed. Having grown up in Calcutta, I have all this pride of being from the urban, the metropolitan. I believe that development is really in the urbanizations and industrializations. And I've also believed that these tribal people have nothing to teach us. But I realize that they have figured out a balance between nature and human beings the way all of us are not being able to figure out. Our extractive relationship to nature has got us into this climate crisis, while they, in their everyday life, seem to be balancing it quite well. The last story, trust me, I'm not going to give you many more stories, but this one is very close to my heart. This is in preparation of a fieldwork. We are in the train station. We take a lot of trains in India. We don't have that many cars. So when we are in Howrah and we are getting into the compartment, we realize that the compartment is full of Muslim men who are also going to Mumbai, and from there they're going to go to Mecca for a journey. My father is very uncomfortable. He's saying, this is not a good idea, let's not do this. And I'm like, no, I need to go to fieldwork. Let's do this. And he leaves the train with all this discomfort. And what he predicted actually came alive that night. Somewhere around 10:30 at night, there are these two young men, boys, who come into the compartment, and they sit right next to my feet on my seat. And they are not moving, and I am extremely uncomfortable. And at this point, the oldest person from that Muslim group come up and ask them to move out. They step up and leave, and he sits right next to my feet. And from that 10:30 at night till the day broke, till 6 o'clock, he was sitting right at my feet. As the day broke, without a word spoken to me, he left my seat. But when I woke up, I realized what it really means to belong to a secular nation, where whatever your faith, whatever your religion you practice, you show up for one another because the nation is as much of the majority as the minority. And therefore, we are together showing up for one another. All these ordinary people, but these extraordinary experiences that were shaping me. Of course, an Indian speaker without Bollywood wouldn't be fair. So if you know what this picture is, I'm sure some of you do, it's from a very, very famous Bollywood film called DDLJ. And this is Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol. They're finally together and making that journey of love. I'm not going to talk about my love story, but I am going to talk about something else. Like I told you, because we were pursuing the ordinary, I wasn't chasing a 4.0 anymore. So this fieldwork thing was not for me only. So I shared with a friend, Ishita, that, hey, you know, I've discovered this thing called fieldwork, and it's really cool. I think you should come for it. She convinces her father. We reach New Delhi station. We are about to take the train, and the train starts moving. At this moment, her father looks at the two of us and tells us, well, you want to do fieldwork, well and good. If you can catch this train, this fieldwork is yours. If you miss this train, Ishita is coming home. The two of us, completely unhealthy, never done a day of exercise, complete foodies. We spent all our time on food. We looked at the train, looked at each other, and started running for life. And actually, one of us got in, and we actually spread our hand out, and the other one held the hand and got into the bogie, and we waved at uncle. We went off to fieldwork. And that fieldwork the third friend who joined us is actually in the audience, was a life-changing experience for all of us. And we realized how much we liked getting out of the metropolitans and going into these rural areas where nobody else was really interested to go, but really connecting the local to the global. Like I said, my sister was not happy with me. But I chose the ordinary. And when I say I chose, it was really a choice. When I went to New Delhi to study social science, I actually had topped an exam of 7,000 applicants. So there was no way that I was not riding the wave of success. But I decided to step down, not be that lawyer, not be that bureaucrat, and work with ordinary people. And like I said, every ordinary experience has turned into something extraordinary. My life isn't a backward design. I didn't know where I'm going to land, but today I can happily tell you that I have managed to do a PhD, I've managed to publish a book, and I have managed to get a faculty position at MSU. And this is the picture from our latest fieldwork, where a bunch of students and 2 of us faculty members were in India, exploring these ordinary connections and learning about extraordinary things. Thank you.